Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us here this afternoon for our discussion today on ensuring Latino students succeed. My name is Amanda Fernandez, and I'm the CEO and founder of Latinos for Education. Our work is focused on developing, placing, and connecting essential Latino leadership in the education sector, while also ensuring we remove obstacles for educational opportunity through policy and advocacy work. That's why I couldn't be more excited to have this discussion today as we talk about the Latinos for Education Latino Action Agenda. Some of our programs at Latinos for Education are focused on advancing Latino leadership. We do this in multiple ways. We have fellowships that support aspiring Latino leaders, those who have been in the sector for a number of years, who wish to have leadership roles in the sector. We support our Latinx educators, in particular those who support multilingual students, to ensure that they stay in the classroom and feel like they can do their best. Our Latino Board Fellowship ensures that we bring Latinos from outside of the education sector to serve on education nonprofit boards. And our Familias Latinas por la Educación is a program that's focused on empowering and elevating the voices of our Spanish-speaking Latino parents that we have seen much success in Houston. But we know that change is equally needed at the policy level. Latino students will soon make up 30% of our student body across the country, and yet the representation of Latino educators does not match at that level. Right now, we have 9% representation, and that hasn't changed much in the education sector. We need policies that support bringing in more Latino educators to the sector, retaining them and supporting them. Another barrier that we see in education is access to high-quality early childhood education. Right now, only 33% of Latino children access high-quality programs to support leveling the playing field and making sure they start off on the right foot in their educational journey. Latino students still face significant barriers when it comes to college access and completion. While we have seen dramatic increases in the number of Latinos who graduate from high school and enroll in college, we still don't have the parity that we need relative to Latino student success in college completion rates. The pandemic exacerbated challenges by dropping enrollments, so we have a lot of work to do relative to ensuring that many more Latino children have access to high-quality high school programming, whether it's AP or early college access. And we need to make sure that Latino students have the supports they need to persist in their college journey. Despite these challenges, our Latino community has the resilience and the ganas to continue to persist. And we know that our Latino community can succeed when the right programs are in place and the right policies are in place for them to succeed. Latinos for Education created the Latino Action Agenda with and for our Latino community. We met with many of our stakeholders, so this agenda is not driven by us alone, it is driven by our entire community. We know that when Latinos get the access they deserve, the opportunities put before them, that our community will succeed. And we know that when Latinos succeed, we all succeed. Thank you for being here today. I want to thank all the speakers who are joining us for this dynamic conversation we're about to embark in.
Hi, I'm Melody Gonzales, Executive Director of the White House Initiative on Advancing Educational Equity, Excellence, and Economic Opportunity for Hispanics. Our office was created through an executive order that President Joe Biden issued. We are housed under the U.S. Department of Education under the leadership of Secretary Miguel Cardona, and we are here to work with you all to advance equity for our Latino community. Since I've stepped into this role, Latinos for Education has been a wonderful ally, whether it's hosting Zooms together or sharing advocacy and research information. It's been a pleasure to work with you and to be here with you today. And if there's one message I want to share with the community that's gathered here today, it's that your voice is powerful. Thanks to your advocacy, thanks to your lived experiences that you're constantly sharing and advocating around, we're able to help move equity in a way that's never happened before in government. We have the most diverse cabinet in history. We have a historic 4 Latinos leading agencies. Agencies have drafted and are now implementing equity plans. They're hiring chief diversity officers, all of which has never happened before. The White House Domestic Policy Council has staff that's centered on racial equity work, and there's a great opportunity for us to collaborate right now in and out of government to make sure that we're not going back to the world that existed before the pandemic, but that we're advancing equity and creating a stronger future for our Latino students together. I wanted to make sure that you all know about some of these system government-wide equity efforts, because there's opportunities not just at the Department of Education, but across all of our federal agencies to be collaborating with us. Agencies are thinking about how else they might better serve the Latino community, how they can make sure their funds are reaching Hispanic serving institutions, how they're working with our educational school systems to recruit talented students into our intern and workforce cohorts. So we are here to serve, wanted to make sure that you know about some of these exciting opportunities. And I also wanted to mention that in addition to our White House Hispanic Initiative, we also have our sister initiatives. For the first time ever, all of our diverse White House initiatives are all headed by women. We did a great Women's History Month event from the White House that aired on YouTube, and we wanted to make sure that you all know, in addition to our Hispanic community, we have White House initiatives for the Native American, Black Americans, HBCU, and Native American and tribal colleges communities to be collaborating with as well. And when it comes to our Hispanic initiative, our work centers on 5 key areas. We are here to help advance 12 policy goals, cradle to career issues that are outlined in our executive order. We lead an interagency work group and have asked every agency to stand up a team of staff to work with us in support of our Latino policy goals. We have just announced the inaugural meeting of our commission. 21 leaders have been appointed by the president to serve as our commissioners, and we will be meeting with them on May 10th. You all are welcome to watch and join virtually as they convene to help share recommendations in government and also leverage their expertise to create change for our community. We also engage in a lot of public engagement activities. We are really committed to making sure that you all know about programs, resources, jobs, grant opportunities. You can even apply to be grant reviewers yourselves. So we'd like to invite you to join our email listserv, which you can sign up for at ed.gov/Hispanic Initiative, so that you can take advantage of all of these different opportunities and bring your community's experiences into government and leverage our resources to support those around you. We're also here to advance Secretary Cardona's priorities. He's recently rolled out his Raise the Bar, Lead the World vision, which centers on a lot of priorities I know Latinos for Education and you all care about. Priorities like helping our students achieve academic excellence, accelerating learning for our students, boldly improving learning outcomes. That includes eliminating the teacher shortage and diversifying the teaching profession for our students, investing in students' mental health and well-being, and creating more pathways for global engagement. That includes making sure students have pathways to successful careers that can help them thrive personally and economically. And that also centers on one of Secretary Cardona's huge priorities, which is multilingualism. He says this is our moment to build a more multilingual America, and we'll need your help, your support, and advocacy around this work as we move forward with that mission. You know, there's a saying that I know many of you all probably have heard that is, dime con quien andas y te diré quién eres. And I'd add to that, show me your budget and I'll tell you where your values are. And one of the things that's been really exciting about working here in the Biden administration at the U.S. Department of Education is that we truly have been leveraging all of the policy mechanisms and our budget resources to support and advance equity, whether it's deploying historic resources through the American Rescue Plan and the Higher Education Emergency Relief Fund that helped students through the pandemic, or the bipartisan infrastructure law. That law is actually creating a lot of direct hire federal job opportunities that I hope you all take advantage of and talk about in your communities, because these are opportunities to serve in government, not just in DC, but also all around the country and in your communities. We have, for the first time in 30 years, a law that President Biden signed around the gun violence epidemic that's hitting our communities. The Bipartisan Safer Communities Act has helped bring $2 million that our U.S. Department of Education is helping administer to make sure communities and schools have access to more mental health professionals, to cultivate the pipeline of more mental health professionals to support our students, and to have more support for students on the front end so that they have the mental health and support and safe learning environments that they so desperately need these days. We're also really moving equity around grants, whether it's having a Deputy Assistant Secretary who is focused on equity and grant making, or encouraging more diversity among those applicants to be grant reviewers. So we hope that you all will take time to follow the grants that we are announcing at ed.gov. You can just click the grants button there to learn more about our upcoming grant opportunities. And you can also always go to grants.gov and federalregister.gov to learn more about what all agencies are posting in terms of grants and other federal announcements. At the end of the day, though, there's just a few calls to action that I'd love to share with you as final words here. One, like I said, please stay connected to our White House Hispanic Initiative. We are on a mission to share resources and information and inspiration, whether it's through our email listserv or our social media accounts or in-person events. We also want to hear your stories. Please join us. Teacher Appreciation Month is coming up in May. Use the hashtag Latinos Teach to celebrate Latino educators in your communities. Tell us about how federal resources are making a difference in your community to support students. Let us know if you've benefited from programs like the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. And if you haven't applied for that, please do. You can learn more at pslf.gov. I'd also really like to encourage you all to join in supporting our White House Hispanic Initiative Leadership Program. Starting this summer and every semester moving forward, we'd love to host students as well as experienced professionals in our office through a semester-long leadership cohort program. You can learn more on our website at ed.gov/Hispanic Initiative. And last but not least, I just want to share that we here at the U.S. Department of Education and in the Biden administration value your service to our students. Muchas gracias por todo lo que hacen por nuestra comunidad. We are here to support and serve you, and if there's anything we can collaborate around, please don't hesitate to reach out. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Erica Romero, and I am Vice President of Education Policy and Advocacy at Latinos for Education. First, I want to thank Melody Gonzales from the White House Initiative. We appreciate the partnership we have with the White House Initiative, the Department of Education, and the White House itself. Our CEO and founder, Amanda Fernandez, provided an overview of the challenges and barriers that Latino students continue to face, from early childhood education all the way through higher education. And I'm excited to lead a discussion with a dynamic group of Latina leaders about the solutions and policy initiatives needed to support Latino students. We know that Latino students are critical to the success of our nation, so I really hope this is the start of a great conversation about how we can prioritize their needs and set them up for the success. Our own policy recommendations and ideas are reflected in our Latino Action Agenda, which we'll share in the chat. And we also have a call to action to ask Congress to spend more, not less, on education funding. We'll talk about that at the end. Joining me for our conversation today is Patricia Lozano, Executive Director of Early Edge California, Dr. Almi Abeyta, the Superintendent of Chelsea Public Schools in Massachusetts, Veronica, a mother with children in Houston Independent School District, and an alumna from our Familias Latinas por la Educación program, and Bianca Roman, a student at Florida International University. Everyone on this panel is doing amazing work, so I'll let them formally introduce themselves and speak a bit to the work they are doing to support Latino students. We'll also take questions at the end of the event, so please make sure you drop those questions in the chat feature. We'll get started first with Patricia in early childhood education. Patricia.
Hola, buenas tardes, buenas noches, good afternoon. So excited to be here today with this amazing panel. My name is Patricia Lozano. I am the Executive Director of Early Edge California. We are based in California, in Los Angeles, and what we do is we advocate so every child in California has access to high quality programs and gets the best start in life. We also advocate so teachers, early childhood teachers, get the salaries and the compensation and the training they need. I was a preschool teacher. I'm originally from Colombia, and I know how hard it is to be a teacher, especially for when you're with little ones. So we are all about advocating for teachers and being sure that they get what they need. We also advocate for bilingualism. We believe that every child in California should have access to programs where multilingualism is supported. So our vision is that every child starting in preschool, or hopefully even before, so we have babies and infants, have access to bilingual programs where their home language is supported. And also others who don't speak other languages also get the benefits of bilingualism. We are very excited today because this is an opportunity to highlight the importance of starting early. And the why is because we want to reduce that achievement gap that a lot of our Latino communities, our Latino kids have when they get to kindergarten, and it's not fair. It's not fair that they don't have access to the programs that other communities and other groups have, and they start behind, and it is really hard to catch up. So we want to avoid that, and we want to be sure that our communities have access to these programs and have the opportunity to learn and to have the best start possible. We are also, as I mentioned, would love to have a more diverse workforce and create pathways for Latino and Latina teachers to work in early childhood. And what that means is that they need to have the right supports, the incentives, access to information, supports to, during college, access to stipends and guidance. We know that it's really hard for teachers of color to access, information in general. So we want to be sure that our kids have teachers who look like them, who speak like them, and who understand, the culture. We know research tells us that kids really benefit by having teachers who look like them and who understand their culture. So we want to be sure that that happens. And lastly, you know, it is important that we do this at the federal level, because we need the support. We need to work to partner with the federal government and come together. Given the numbers, California, 60% of kids 0 to 5 are dual language learners, meaning they speak other language than English at home. And this population is growing, is the future of our country. So we need to come together and fight for policies to support our families. So I'm very excited about this conversation. I'm looking forward to be part of this panel.
Patricia, thank you so much for your partnership and for your words. I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Abeyta, the Superintendent of the Chelsea Public Schools. I'm looking forward to hearing from you about K through 12 education.
Great. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Dr. Almi Abeyta, and I am the proud Superintendent of Chelsea Public Schools. We are just outside of Boston. 87% of our students are Latino, and we are very proud of who we are as a school system and the community and the students that we serve. I'm so proud and blessed to serve Chelsea Public Schools. So some of the barriers that we face to recruit and retain our teachers of color are within our policies. For example, many candidates of color who are English language learners themselves struggle to pass our state licensure tests, and it's very difficult. So we have really worked hard to ensure that we're creating teacher pipelines and supporting paraprofessionals to achieve the goal of becoming teachers. And what we have found and what has been successful to us is actually working and home and growing our own. We believe in growing our own. And so what we're doing is we're as part of our strategic plan is really focused on equity and creating diverse teacher workforce. So we really take that to heart and building our own teacher and what we're calling educator pathways, because we're not just focused on teachers, we're also focused on leaders. So we have a parent to paraprofessional pipeline. We have a paraprofessional to teacher pipeline. We have a teacher to administrator pipeline, and we provide tutoring to pass the state tests. We also offer tuition reimbursement for our educators who want to continue in advanced certificate programs or in graduate school. And so we're really working to diversify our teacher workforce. One example I have that really stands out to me is a paraprofessional that we've had in our system for over 20 years. And she came from El Salvador, lives in Chelsea, was a para for, again, 20 years, had taken the state test 8 times and did not pass. She entered into our teacher pathway program. We gave her support to pass the state test, and just this past year, she passed her test, and she is now a teacher in a dual language school, and she is completing at the end of this year. This will be her first year of teaching. This was life-changing for this educator in our system. And so we are looking for ways to improve the diversity for our educators, but also we know that representation matters. Our goal is to ensure that our students see teachers and educators and that look like them. And so we know it's so important. And so we are striving to improve every day. So we really want to encourage policies that can help us continue with our teacher pathway programs and expand our programs and building our pipelines and helping educators of color achieve their goals of becoming teachers. We also know that Black and Hispanic students are less likely to participate in dual enrollment programs, and how do dual enrollment programs benefit students? And so one thing we need to look at is dual enrollment is, I always say, a 3-4 or a 2-4. With dual enrollment programs, our students are exposed to college courses, and this builds their confidence because they say, oh, I had never thought of going to college, but look, I'm taking a college class. Maybe college is something I can do. I'm actually doing this. And so it helps them develop that college-going identity and increasing their likelihood that they will enroll and be successful in higher education. So dual language is extremely important for our students. And then our students also earn college credit, so they save time and they save money. So dual language early college is extremely important for our students. It is a game changer for many of our students. Many of our students have written back and said to us that early college exposed them to school and gave them the confidence boost that they needed to go to college. And we also, our city supports a scholarship for any student that wants to continue on to their associates. And so students, all they have to do is, and our system is, be enrolled in dual enrollment early college. They've had to pass several classes, and if they share that they're going to go on and they want to continue and get an associate's, then they're automatically guaranteed a scholarship to finish that associate's. This is a game changer. I sat with a student the other day who didn't know about this scholarship, and I asked him, do you know what you're going to do after high school? And he said, no, I'm going to work. And I said, but you're in our early college program, you're in dual enrollment. You do know we have a scholarship for our students. And his eyes just lit up. And he is so excited. And he went around the whole day. We were at the Massachusetts State House advocating for early college, and said, I'm going to college after I graduate. And it's such a game changer. I've gotten letters back from students who said, this program allowed me to focus on my education rather than stress about how I was going to pay for it. So again, if we can fund dual enrollment programs and we can support the partnerships between the colleges and the high schools, we will change the trajectory of our students' lives for a long time, because the work that we do is legacy work. We are changing the generations of our students. And my grandfather was one of those, and he believed in education. And because he believed in education, it wasn't in my family, when are you going to college? What college are you going to? And he left a legacy for all of us. He was the legacy changer. And so I believe that we have an obligation to be legacy changers and change the trajectory of the lives of our students. And we can do that through dual language programs, early college programs. Thank you so much for having me, and I'll be here for questions.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abeyta. I am really impressed with the multiple pathways you have for folks to become educators in different capacities and for the opportunities for your students, and look forward to continuing this conversation. But next, we're going to hear from Veronica, Cohetero, the parent from Familias, Latinas por la Educación, and I am really excited to hear about your experience in this program.
Hi, yes. I took the Latinos for Education program last year during summer. It was a wonderful program. Like anybody else, at first I was very skeptical. I thought they're just going to show me some videos, probably, fill out some questionnaires. But when I got there, it was a complete game changer. I've never knew that a program like that existed. They make you feel so welcome. They help you. They break down every question or concern that you have in regards to your, son's school. Also at the HISD level, they give you so much support and so much information that to be honest with you, it's very overwhelming because me as a Hispanic Mexican American, I really don't like to ask for help. It's something that, like my parents say, me da pena. I'm, embarrassed to go and ask, like they say, a dumb question. But, I know that there's no dumb question. But sometimes that's how, us Hispanics are raised, to make us feel that, we shouldn't be asking these questions. We should just follow what they tell us because they know better. But this program has shown me that everybody's a teacher. Everybody, the parents are the first teachers that our kids see. They see what we do, they do it as well. If they see parents at school, if they see us at school getting involved, their faces lit up so bright that it just to me, it melts my heart. It's just so wonderful because at one point they tell you, hey, are you a teacher? And I'm like, no, I'm just a mom. I'm a volunteer. I like to come here and help out. And even though they still get super excited, they think that I work at the school. And it's so funny because they call me a teacher. And then I tell the administration, I'm like, I got the title without going to school. But yeah, this program is a complete game changer. I recommend it to everybody that I know personally, or even if I see them, I spread the news out. Anybody that'll hear me, and they know that, I always talk about Latinos for Education because, that program has helped me personally be more outspoken, to help my children, achieve the success that I know that they can. Before I was afraid to even ask a question, or I didn't know how to approach it. I didn't want them to think I was, being a really, like a hysterical Hispanic mom. But like I said, this program really helped me understand that I have a voice, and I can use it to better my son's education. So I recommend this program, and I'm super glad that this program was created for parents like us, like myself, that, do not know how to navigate, the HISD level, or, just need support, because that's what they're there for. Even after I finished the program, Latinos for Education has always been by my side. And I thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share a little bit about this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Veronica. I am really excited that you felt empowered after going through Familias Latinas por la Educación to educate your student and help advance their work, and I'm looking forward to continuing the conversation. And our final panelist is Bianca Roman, a senior at Florida International University, a Hispanic serving institution. Bianca, looking forward to hearing your experience and how we can all support you to get to graduation.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Erica, for having me on this panel. It's an absolute honor to be here speaking with you and this fantastic panel on the challenges that we as a Latino community face when accessing education at all levels. So part of how I help support the Latino community at FIU is through the tutoring center, tutoring in math and in logic, and also through the Student Government Association, in which we aim to reach out to our student community and make sure that they have the tools that they need and the information that they need so that they can get through all of their college education. So one thing, there are two major barriers that I have seen that are happening among my peers and I. The first is difficulties navigating the college system. Oftentimes our parents were not educated here in the US, or if they were, they often did not go to college. And so we, as the first generation of college goers, don't know what kinds of resources are out there for us to support us. At FIU, we have many tutoring services, career development centers, writing centers, almost anything you can think of to try to help. but students don't know that they're there. So that is a major barrier that we have to overcome when trying to make sure that we are getting our education and then we can be in the workforce later on. The second main challenge that I see in our community is the lack of access to and support from financial aid services. So the financial aid that we used to receive, back in the 1980s and the 1990s used to cover a lot more and used to go a lot farther than the aid we are getting now. I am a Pell Grant recipient, and I am lucky that I get those $3,000 a year so that they can help finance my education. And without it and other financial aid from my FAFSA, I quite literally would not be here. So other financial aid services that FIU provides are a few scholarships, but we can make more impact by increasing the amount of aid that are given to other Hispanic serving institutions as well as to FIU, so that they can make a broader impact on our students. It's estimated that 31% of Latino students leave college with debt and no degree. So we can get in, but we have trouble staying in because we don't have the financial resources to do that. That is something I would like to see improve within our community, and that's something I would love to see more investment in our education, because it is our education that will take us further into the future and that we can leave our legacy of education to our next generations. There are maybe just two programs I would like to highlight within FIU that have served me particularly as a student. The first is our office of NDC, FIU NDC. What we do is they help uplift Latino students, so first generation, low income, into government positions, into working networking sessions up in Washington, D.C., in our nation's capital. So we can help give back and serve not just our community, but our country as well. The Office of Prestigious Scholar Development at FIU also helps us become involved and know and gain information to what kinds of scholarships and resources are out there so that we can further enrich our lives and then help others and bring others up with us. I'm looking forward to this discussion further on. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much, Bianca. Anytime I get to speak to college students, I know the future is bright. So I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation. As a friendly reminder, if you have questions, please make sure to drop them in the chat. Our first question today is for Patricia. Latino children have lower rates of participation in early childhood education programs than white or Black children and face educational disadvantages when starting kindergarten. What obstacles keep Latino families from accessing early childhood programs, and what can be done to expand access to ECE programs for all Latino children?
Yes, that's something we are working on, daily, to really find ways to get to Latino families, because one of the barriers is language and access to information. There sometimes it's harder for them to know where the programs are, when are they available. So we, one of the things we do is try to communicate that in Spanish, try to go to their communities, explain how to enroll so they can take advantage. The other one is there's still political and immigration fears, which is also, a thing we work on and communicate on, so parents know their rights. And then also, cost for some families. There's a cost even if it's a state program. So that's a barrier, and we're working on eliminating the cost of care as much as we can. So California now has a universal preschool that is offered to all 4-year-olds. So by 2026, every child in California is going to have access to a free preschool program at their elementary school. So that's super exciting, and we really want our Latino families to take advantage of this. And we've seen that when Latino families take advantage and sign up, the benefits are huge. Just that opportunity to start early and to have the opportunity to learn English as they hopefully support their home language at home, which is another thing we tell parents all the time. Keep talking Spanish at home, because it's better. It's better, when the kids keep their home language as they learn English, they'll be better learners, they'll communicate better, they'll have better jobs. The research shows us that it is just better to keep your home language. So that's another thing that we always tell parents. But yeah, so bottom line is we need to just have that information accessible to our Latino families, so they know about the opportunities and they sign up and they really enroll their kids early.
Great, thank you. And a second question for you, Patricia. 33% of young children in the US are dual language learners. What can the federal government do to support the development and success of these students earlier in their educational journey?
Well, there's the main thing is funding, right? We need funding to do several things. First, we need to know our DLL families. So here in California, we passed a law to help state preschool programs to connect with families and learn about the languages they speak at home. So we are going to be able to identify DLLs and use that data to advocate for more resources for teachers and for families. So that's the first step. Then we have to get funding to have more bilingual programs for all, starting hopefully when the kids are babies, when they're infants, because we've seen programs here in California where our teachers are singing in Spanish to the babies. It works, and you can start right after birth. So a partnership between the state and the federal government on funding bilingual programs starting at birth is super important. And then you have teachers. We need to support our bilingual teachers, to help them get their credentials or certifications, to pay them more if they're bilingual, and to incentivize high school students who may be interested in becoming a bilingual teacher, especially in early learning, to decide and support that process from high school all the way to when you become a teacher and you need to find a job. And also training for teachers as they are doing their job. So we know that teachers need constant support. So we also advocate for funding for training for teachers on how to work with DLLs, both if you speak the language and also if you don't. There are many ways that teachers can support bilingualism and multilingualism in the classroom. And finally, do communications campaigns so parents understand the benefits of bilingualism and keep speaking their language at home as their child goes to school, so they keep the culture, the language, and get all the benefits of being bilingual.
Thanks, really appreciate that. As somebody who managed to learn 4 languages by the time I got through high school, learning languages is so incredibly important to success in life. Our next question is for Dr. Abeyta. Can you tell us what more the federal government can do to help you better support your teachers?
Absolutely. So I did touch upon the teacher pathways that we have and the multiple pathways that we have that we've been building. And I do think that that's, again, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that, because that pathway program, what we found is our paraprofessionals are our most diverse group of workers, if you will. So we realize, like, if we can get more of our paraprofessionals licensed to teach, then we will automatically increase the diversity in our school system. And so we're really trying to encourage our paraprofessionals to go into teaching. And the barrier is often funding, is often the test. And so again, the way that we can support our teachers the way we can support and recruit and retain diverse teachers is to support them through the educational process. Pay for their tuition. And we're grateful for the tuition reimbursement, but there are other expenses as well. And then support them as they're getting their educator licensure, because that's a huge step. It's scary for an English language, someone who came from another country who is a second language learner, to take these tests. It's not easy, and we can't underestimate that. And so that is a major barrier. So if we can be flexible at the policy level in our policies for teacher licensure, especially for people who are second language learners, adult second language learners. We're all learning. And so I just think it's important that we support our English language learner adults who want to become teachers. And so I do believe that if we do that, we will find more and more educators and Latino educators. So that's one way. Another way, again, is reciprocity across the states for teaching. It will make life much easier for many teachers as they're moving from state to state and have not have to go through once again getting licensed. So that reciprocity is super important as well. And again, support for teachers in general, and we're so grateful for that tuition reimbursement.
Thanks for those answers. Latinos for Education is supporting a couple of bills that would set a minimum teacher salary requirement with grants to go with that. Not the only issue, obviously, impacting Latino teachers, but definitely a barrier as well. And so my second question for you is, can you tell us how all of us can help you in better supporting your students?
Absolutely. And this goes back to what I spoke about earlier with our dual language students and our students going through our early college programs. What we found is that our students, once we get them into the dual enrollment programs and we really do support them, and we have to support them getting into college. And that is so important. The whole college process, it's a new process. I don't even know how, our families, they don't know how to fill out a FAFSA. What's a FAFSA? It's so much work. And so what we're finding is that we need to provide more support for and guidance for just the college application process, and not just the college application process, because we get our students into college, but we need to keep them there. And we need to make sure that they graduate from college and once they get there. And so that's a whole other thing that I've been exploring with our college partners, is how do we make sure that our kids graduate from college once they get there? And the supports, because what we find is our students, because they trust us, they come back to their high school counselors. They come back to us and say, Miss, I don't know how to do this. I need support here. And then we help them navigate their colleges. And so I'm actually trying to create graduation coaches at the high school. That's my dream. And I need funding for that. But this has got to be, we have got to think about this, not just K through 12, but K through 16. And then think about, okay, we're getting our kids into college, but now we really have to support them because it's not over. And I'm going to just share one story because I think it's important. I had one student several years ago get into Harvard, and he's still there. He's now going into finishing off his sophomore year. And he finished his freshman year, and I asked my equity officer, can you check up on so-and-so, on so-and-so, because I just want to see how he's doing. We try to keep tabs on our kids. And come to find out, he didn't know where he was going to live over the summer once school was out, because he was living in the dorms. He couldn't go back home because his parents had just moved to a 1-bedroom apartment. And so there was no room for him. And he was like, Dr. Jennings, I don't know where I'm going to live this summer. Dr. Jennings got him set up with an internship at Harvard University so he could stay on campus and live on campus. That's the support we're talking about. We've got to think about long-term support once we get our kids into college too.
That is a great story of you going the extra mile to make sure that your students succeed. I really appreciated that story. As a reminder, please make sure you drop your questions in the chat. We already have a few, and we'll get to as many as we can. My next question is for Veronica, and a few of the questions in the chat are about Familias Latinas por la Educación. So can you tell me why parental engagement is key to the academic success of your student?
Parental engagement is key to motivate all of our students. to push themselves to be better, the best that they can be. If the child doesn't see motivation from us as parents at the school or at the house level, the outcome is not the same. It's totally different. You have to be fully engaged in your son's education so they can be the best that they can be.
Thanks. And you talked briefly about Familias Latinas. Can you tell me what some of the most valuable advocacy tools you learned were and how you've been using them to advocate for your own child?
Like I did mention to you, Familias for Education helped me be able to speak up and not be afraid to use my voice, to express any concerns, any doubts, anything that crossed my mind that I had a doubt. They gave me the tools that make me feel confident to be able to ask those questions, because, like I said, I grew up thinking, okay, the school tells you to do this. This is what you have to do. Until I took the course for Latinos for Education, that's when they told me, no, you have the voice, you have the power, you can do it better than the principal can fight for the school, the teachers, anybody. The parents have the biggest weight and vote, so we can change our children's education. And one of the things that I learned was how to register myself so I can attend HISD board meetings, and also learn how to stand up and speak to them to express my concerns about my son's schools. So that's an important tool that they showed me, because I didn't know that I can fill out a link really quick, go to the HISD board meetings and talk to the trustees, face to face, so they can see that, I'm very concerned and I'm very passionate about, making changes in my son's school so everybody can have, a fair education.
Thank you. I'm always fond of saying democracy is not a spectator sport. And so I love to see parents engaged with their schools and with government in general. So thank you for that. Bianca, the next question is for you. Can you talk to me about how the availability of financial aid played a role in attending college, and what would it mean if we were actually able to finally double the Pell?
So first, the only reason I am able to go to college in the first place is because of the financial aid that I received. I knew right from the get-go that my parents were not going to be able to finance my college education, so it was on me to find scholarships, to go through the FAFSA, to do any sort of paperwork I could do so that I could obtain financial aid. And I am so deeply grateful that I was given it, because financial aid has impacted me in the sense that it covers my basic necessities. So it covers my food, it covers my housing, and it covers my tuition. It also means that I have a little bit left over to pursue career development opportunities. So it has meant that at FIU, I can take part in the intelligence fellowship, and that I can pay the $3,000 hidden fees that are often associated with these types of programs. It has meant that I can pay for health insurance, which actually saved my life earlier this February when I had an allergic reaction, and the hospital charged me $7,000 for just spending a few hours in the hospital when they were treating me. Financial aid has also meant that I can have housing and seek decent, safe housing while I'm completing my internship in DC this summer near the Hill. So the impact on financial aid on my life has been tremendous, and I'm deeply grateful that I have received this aid to my college experience. And what would happen if I could actually have like a double the Pell Grant? So right now I've received about $3,000 for the year for Pell. If I could receive $6,000, that would cover my health insurance entirely. That would cover my housing for a year. That would cover, or my housing in another location in DC for a longer period of time. It would mean that I could seek out these opportunities to engage in the workforce, engage in my community, and also serve my country and give back.
Great, thank you. And my final question for you is, what do you and your peers need in order to be successful in college and actually get to completion?
I would say the major thing we need is increased funding in HSI and Hispanic serving institutions, because increased funding means that more students are supported. So even though these schools do generally have writing centers or career development opportunities, there's a lot of hidden fees associated with these that first generation low income students like myself, we cannot pay out of our own pocket. So an increased funding would mean that these offices and that these programs would be able to offset that cost themselves and would not need to ask students to pay for it, and thus bringing in more students on merit who also deserve to be there, but who in a normal circumstance might not be able to otherwise because they don't have the money to do so. Other investments would mean that, you know, we can increase the quality of infrastructure and technology to enhance our education, as well as potentially start up an emergency fund. FIU had an emergency fund during COVID, and that paid for my laptop when I was representing FIU during a Model UN competition. My laptop broke 2 days before the conference, and I had no money to buy a new one because that laptop was one I was gifted 6 years ago. I had made it work, I had taken care of it, but FIU, through that emergency fund, made it possible for me to succeed and to get a new laptop quickly, as well as represent our school to a great ability, and I won several awards at that conference. So these are just a few ways of how financial aid and increasing funding in HSIs can impact one student's life, and I know that it has meant the world to my peers as well.
Thanks, and I appreciate that. And we've got time for a few questions. I wish we could answer all of them. To answer one question, and people love Familias Latinas por la Educación, we have programs in Boston, Houston, and possibly expanding to the Bay Area. We right now don't have an online version, but that's a great idea, and I'll throw it to our programs team. The second question we had is, are there alternatives for state exams for English language learners? And I think either Patricia or Dr. Abeyta can answer that.
I'm happy to say the alternatives. I know there is a policy right now that Latinos for a bill that Latinos for Education is supporting in Massachusetts to create an amendment to our state tests for teachers, and that includes some alternative pathways. So that's forthcoming. Where I know it's in a bill right now, and so I'm super excited to support that bill. And yes, we have some work to do, and we're really working hard. And I want to thank Latinos for Education for really supporting this bill that's on the docket right now.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abeyta. I really wish we had time to get to all of the questions, but unfortunately that's all the time that we have. I hope you enjoyed our conversation around important issues impacting Latino students, families, and educators, including issues of teacher diversity, early childhood education, K-12, and higher ed. I want to make sure to once again thank our panelists for the great discussion and all of you for making time to join us tonight. We've made great progress on Latino education issues, but there's still so much more we need to do. We've dropped into the chat a link to our Latino Action Agenda. There will also be a slide at the end with a QR code, so have your cameras ready. Along with the call to action, we're asking all of you to use our Action Network to send an email to your members of Congress, asking them to support additional funding for education in the next budget. Right now, there is a proposal that would result in a 22% cut to education from the federal government. And Congress needs to hear from all of you, because your voice is important, that we need more, not less, education funding. Our Action Network platform makes sending an email easy. You just enter your home address. The platform will find your U.S. senators and your representative for you. We even drafted the letter for you. You can personalize it, and we give you ideas on how to do that. Hit send, and your member of Congress will hear from you about the importance of education funding. You can also share that link with your friends and family who want to support education funding. There is power in numbers. By taking this action, you can also hear from us when we need your help to advocate for change on Capitol Hill. Con ganas, we can make a difference in the future of Latino education. Thank you and good night.